Great. So 5 ways to go from employee to entrepreneur. That's what you're here for today. Okay. So the first piece I want to go over is just about myself very quickly. I'm not going to do the whole 1 hour pitch on myself, but if you guys are here, you probably know a bit about me. I'm the founder and corporate escape coach from the Cubicle, which is a website and a movement to inspire people to break free from the shackles of conventional work. And how do I do this? Well, my secret sauce is really, I'm not someone that wants to go with like the next trendy idea or what's, the passive income, make money while you sleep direction only, because I feel that people need to be aligned with their work. You can have a great business idea, but if you're not if you don't have the types of strengths or skills that you've really been aware of to come to a better idea, to come to an idea that means something to you, I know it won't have longevity. Business is a hard game. Business is competitive. So if you're not doing work that feels good to you, feels easy for you, feels like you're meant to do it, you're not going to do it. It doesn't matter how trendy that idea is. So the first bit I always focus on with my own clients, with anything I teach, is always about laser focusing on what you do best, right? I want you to feel proud of the work that the impact of your work that you're making, right? That's going to make you feel proud of your work. And really, at the end of the day, the practical piece and strategic piece, of course, is to position your work, your skills, your talents to be paid so that you can do something that you enjoy and really be rewarded. Okay. So when I left my job after a burnout, which I think a lot of people feel in high level jobs, this has now kind of led me to be an advocate for meaningful work, because I think there's a lot of joy that can be found when you do work that gets you paid, but also feels like you're contributing to the world. And it makes a big difference in, again, like I said, longevity and what you create in the future. Okay. So in the last 4 years, I've been very blessed for my work to have kind of spanned 3 continents, part of it from my travels, part of it from people coming from all the 3 continents to come see me in my retreats and workshops in Bali. And I primarily have been working with talented professionals, right? People that have climbed the corporate ladder. They've been successful or are climbing on the path of success, but are feeling like maybe this is not the path. Maybe I'm somewhere that I'm not supposed to be. So even if they're good at their jobs, they're like, is this it? Like, I feel like there's more to me. There's more that I can give. I'm much more creative than this. I want to create, right? That's really the people I work with. And their desire, and probably like you, they want to repurpose their skills, right, towards a more meaningful career. So from building businesses to creating freelance careers, I've really helped people create better versions of their life and become better versions of themselves because of it. So the word is getting out. I think people are, I think that's why I've had some success with Screw the Cubicle as well, is because people are now knowing stories and blogs and all these people that they read about, and they know that there is a world outside of the cubicle walls, all right, outside of a 90 square foot cubicle, and they want to find out how they can do it themselves as well, right? So this is part of this webinar is going to help you do that by sharing some stories and sharing some practical ways of looking at your talents to repurpose it towards a business you can love. So I'm here to tell you today that your full-time job does not have to deter you from creating the necessary actions right now. Right? Lots of people, in my opinion, waste a lot of time, myself included, years of time down the drain by trying to wait for this sort of perfect opportunity, perfect idea to hit me in the head, and then I'll move, right? And people are scared to quit, right? Are you scared to quit because you can't imagine how you're going to fund yourself in your existence, right? Beyond the 9 to 5. And that's fair enough, right? We want to take care of ourselves. We want to feed ourselves. We want to make sure that this feels safe enough for us to make this leap of faith, right? But I know, and this webinar is my hope to inspire you, that I want you to start exploring things you can do today, right now, and start making the moves to do your research, start making the moves to take inventory of what you're good at, and experiment. That's the biggest word I want to give you today, is experiment with your talents, So if you're ever in that mode of like, I don't know what people are going to pay for that I'm good at, or do I have anything to offer? What that tells me is that, well, you have to go find that out, right? So go and test things with people, right? Go and give away your talents to people that need the knowledge that you have without it being under a business right now. You can absolutely help without a website. Right. And I will answer a bit of questions about that, because Laurence, who is attending right now, submitted a great question for me, but I'll save it for later. And maybe part of that question will be answered as well through this webinar. Really my belief is that your current full-time gig, right, can be looked at as if it's funding your dream. And that's going to help you feel like it's not permanent. It's going to know, you're going to know that part of having this job still is to be able to fund your new side hustle, fund your websites, fund your marketing costs that get you out there in the meantime. But you don't have to wait to quit, to have, to be making this dream come alive for you right now. So here's what we're going to cover today, okay? We're going to cover how your expertise right now, not stuff you have to learn again, right? What your expertise right now can be your ticket to generating money for your new career out of your 9-to-5. I want to help you discover the ways that you can explore your best side hustles with skills and strengths that you already have, okay? Not about looking externally again. That's what we do, this business pornography of what's out there, what's selling, what are other people doing? And that's great for like a quick jump start of inspiration, but we have to make it mean something to us, right? What is our best side hustle with our best strengths, with our best skills, with our best know-how that people are going to pay you to do today? And so in order for me to kind of tell you more about that, because I can't spend that much time one-on-one with you guys today, is really show you different case studies of real people that you can relate to. Okay, people who have gained success from their skill sets, from their new, nothing new, existing skills, to recreate a new career, to infuse more life into this new career, simply by changing sometimes who they help, changing the outcomes of what their skills mean to their clients. And this is going to give them a much more of fulfillment in the work they do, and in return, giving them also more personal freedom in their lives, because they now have a business they can make their own and justify exactly what they create, what time they work, who they work with, right? That's what we're striving to have in our lives. And lastly, I'm going to be talking about why using your unique genius zone, right? Your genius zone is you. No one else is like you. I'm not talking marketing tactics. I'm talking literally by being yourself, right? I'll explain more about that later on. How being yourself, how having an approach that's unique to you, having your voice, your personality will help you create your own niche. Even if you're doing something that someone else has already done or many people are doing, you don't have to worry about comparing yourself to other people. Do we have any like comparison, are you guys like in analysis paralysis right now because you're thinking, oh, someone already did that, I can't do that. So if you are doing that, say, yes, I am comparing myself to others in the chat box. So I know how many of you guys are doing that. And it's okay. Don't worry about that, because most of us do, because we need to build that confidence in our own skill sets. Okay. So I want to start by inviting you today to take a look at your low-hanging fruit skills. Okay, so look no further than your existing skills and strengths. I always say this to every client I've worked with. Let's take inventory of what you know today to help give you some direction, so you stop the business pornography and start to own in on what you do best. And when we go look on the external world, when we start looking at other people's business ideas, we now become this sort of perfectionism person, that wants to be like that other person, and then trying to conform again. And guess what that is? That's still the corporate mindset. That's still conforming to a role that you're not meant to do, right? So now if you're looking at opportunities outside of the cubicle, this is also an opportunity for you to shift your mindset. Shift your mindset to be much more open and willing to learn about yourself, willing to not be told what your old boss used to say that are your strengths, and start to recognize your strengths yourself. And when you're too perfect in creating an idea that's like the newest trend or someone's never done before, this perfectionism really kills your curiosity for what may be actually a possibility for you right now idea, So many people waste the efforts of looking externally instead of looking internally, because you're already good at something. Your experience matters. However old you are, your life experience has brought you knowledge. You've overcome hurdles personally. You've solved problems at your jobs that you know of, and you have something to share. That's the piece that you need to focus on the most, right? What will people really pay you to do now that doesn't possess your skill sets, don't possess what you know, and you could be a great help to them, right? That's the realm you should be looking at. So lots of the stories that you're going to hear today are developed. That you hear today, they have developed their ideas from a starting point of exactly this: existing skills and strengths. What they know could be hobbies, could be things they've never been paid to do, but it is something that they've genuinely solved for themselves, right? And this becomes a small clue for you when you can recognize your stories, recognize the things you know how to do, to lead you down this sort of rabbit hole, down some research, down some expansion of what that skill set or solving a problem looks like. And that will start to give you a bit of direction rather than trying to just bounce around different ideas that will suit, your genius zone. okay? So I want to start today by kind of wetting your whistle on 5 escape routes today, so that it's going to give you some inspiration, because as I said, I can't spend too much time dissecting all of you guys today of your skill set. So most of these stories will help you kind of see yourself as well in them, and hopefully spark some ideas for you as well. So these stories that I'm going to share today, as I mentioned at the beginning of the call or this webinar, they're inspired by my new book, right? Which is Screw the Cubicle, also named Screw the Cubicle. And basically I'm showing unconventional ways to escape the 9-to-5 and find your freedom, and really show you strategies, exit plans, and really how people muster the courage, to give up security, to give up judgment, to give up what they believe success is, in order to find something that was more meaningful and proud, that they can say they're proud of doing in their future. So these 25 escape stories, I can't share 25 today, but there are going to be probably about like 6 to 10 stories that will be part of these escape routes that will be there. And if you're interested to support the book, if you look at the offers tab underneath this video, you'll see a button leading you to the Publishizer page, which is the platform I'm launching the book. And you'll be able to support the book and get my courses for free to help you jumpstart your escape from your cubicle as well. Okay. All right. Let's get on to the next slide, which is basically the first escape route. Okay. So first one is the easiest one. Okay. Freelancing your skills. So this is, a great way to start. This is where I started, actually. So before I started my first business, I was a consultant, right? I freelanced my project management skills. I freelanced my, business building skills for small businesses, knowing just little parts of what I like to do, right? Some of the writing, the messaging, the vision, that's all I did. I never did anything to do with online marketing, because I wasn't skilled at the time. I only helped with what I knew. And I started to just tell people about, this is, I've quit my job. Here's what I want to do now. And I don't have a business, around it or a website, but I do know from 10 years of experience, I can help you, right? Spread the word. So if you've ever been paid to do a particular job before, you have skills to freelance. And those may not be the only skills you will ever know how to do. And you may want to pursue other aspects of who you are, but these are the skills that you've been paid to do and can help you with the transition, especially if you're still in a job, okay? Freelancing is one of the simplest ways to start pivoting to being your own boss, right? By offering your services as a consultant, as a freelancer, without having to go through the nitty-gritty business of building a website, making a brand. You don't have to do any of that right now, okay? So why freelance? What was the benefits of freelancing? Well, it allows you to start right now. Right now, without any websites, really having maybe just a one-page profile, a me.com profile that you can do for free, or if you want to do WordPress, you can just do a one-page thing. It's like a resume, what I know how to do, right? And this allows you to experiment with which skills you love the most. So freelancing feels a bit less permanent. You could dabble in a couple things that you can offer, and use every client that comes in as a testing guinea pig. Right? So if you're like, I don't know if I want to focus on project management, or do I want to focus on systems and operations? Well, figure it out by taking on a client for each, right? Seeing if you love it, seeing if you enjoy teaching people those aspects of your skills, seeing if you like to implement those skills. So it lets you experiment whether you like to teach it, whether you like to coach about it, or do you want to implement for people, right? That's going to give you a different type of model for your skill sets. It is less pressure and less startup costs, right? Of a full-blown business, as I mentioned, to start as a freelancer. You can also use your existing network, your previous clients, and people who already trust you and know your abilities, right? You don't have to look very far to start to promote what you do, because the people around you, old colleagues, old people that already depended on you, friends of friends, family, whatever, you can ask them to spread the word for you. You can also put up a profile on freelance sites like Upwork.com or freelancer.com to start to experiment with how many sorts of clients and how can you promote yourself on a site like that to be different than some of these kind of like cheapo freelancers from Bangladesh or Cambodia, wherever they come from, that might charge very little, but you can charge more for the quality of your work with your credentials, with you being an educated and experienced professional. Okay, you can absolutely find clients that way as well. So who are some people that have freelanced and been able to freelance through in their transition and then built a business from that path? One of the my favorite case studies to give is one of my friends and clients, Claire Harrison, who is the founder of The Story Scientist. Claire was a former business journalist and writer for big publications and PR agencies in London back in the day. And she decided, I don't want to work for oil companies and shitty people anymore, and try to put their public profile in a good light when I know that their ethics and values are crap. It's mainly like a value system misalignment for her, right? And a lot of us may feel that way sometimes with the jobs we're in. So she tested out her freelancing career by offering her talents as a freelancer while working from really the jungles of Bali and the beaches of Thailand, right? So she basically went to, old agencies and publications that will hire her as a freelancer and a writer, and also small businesses, startups that are looking for writers to bring their public profile up there. She looked for them and then made a pitch. Right, that's what she does good anyway. Pitches. That's what journalists do. So she didn't really even have a website at all. I think she had a LinkedIn profile, and she just submitted a few examples of work and say, "Here's what I look at, and I can see can happen for you. Let's have a chat." Right. So after doing 6 months of contract work, freelancing, Claire then, basically launched her remote PR operation, which is now The Story Scientist. And this allowed her to expand her offerings from just a freelancing kind of one-off, writer or editor or pitch artist, really. And now she teaches courses remotely while continuing to work for startups, right? So now she's expanded her offerings and being able to create that website and have these other one-on-one clients that have more boundaries around her work. She can now, be able to choose her clients because she's worked enough in that 6 months to go garner some confidence, to offer, and you should pay for it, right? And that's also actually in the last 3 months too, Claire's launched a second startup, which is called Start Me Up, which is actually doing placements for students that are on a gap year to intern for startups, so that led her into another startup. So it's interesting how one idea can lead to another when we explore it fully. Another case study is Oliver Lucas. He's also from the UK and also someone special to me. He's my partner. And he came from 12 years of experience being in the market research and customer insights industry. He's the one that gathers all the data for people and figure out for companies what they should be selling, how they should be talking to their customers through a whole whack of spreadsheets of information, data, and surveys. So that's what his specialty has been. He started his entrepreneurship journey by actually being fired. He was laid off by a really big organization he worked for, and he looked at it as an opportunity, to go, okay, well, before me rushing into another job, how about I take a sabbatical and experiment with how can I make money with what I know without being tied to a job, right? So I took a sabbatical. I came to Asia and basically told all his previous work contacts. So friends that he knew, from the other companies he used to work for, and told them he's now available for hire as a consultant. And they knew about him already. They already wanted to recruit him to work full time. So he's like, I'm not going to work full time, but I can absolutely work as a consultant. You'll save more money not paying for my office space. You'll save more money, by having me not paying for my medical costs for being an employee, and just use me as a consultant. So he found his first project actually on Upwork, working for an American company, which gave him a taste of what it was like to be a freelancer. And then he used, his old contacts to kind of give him some consistent income as he worked on his startup idea. So using this bridge work opportunity to fund his experiments for a startup idea, Oliver launched 2 startups, one of them being SpeechMate, which is an app that will produce personalized speeches for best men in 60 minutes. He's been working on that for a whole year, launching this year. And it also allowed him to spend some time to really bring his first blog, iamthebestman.co.uk, in the #1 search engine, or search in Google for best man speeches, best man things to do in the UK. And this really proved to be a cost-efficient way for Oliver to invest money in his startups without getting a loan or having to go to any investors, for his startups, which he wanted. He wanted kind of full control of that. And also strategically, moving to Asia, not spending all that money in London, for example, really helped him keep more of that money and invest more in himself. So that's another alternative route to look at. It's like, do you have to stay where you are right now, where things can be expensive, cost of living could be high? Could you actually be using more of your money elsewhere and be able to keep more of it rather than paying rent or, having a high lifestyle cost, right? The second escape route I want to talk about today is about teaching, right? This is a really great route for people that have expertise that are valuable to the public world, where they don't have, again, the experience you have, right? So instead of freelancing or as a consultant, you're going to really look at your abilities as a way to build a business around teaching, okay? Teach people your expertise. And your expertise can come from not just your professional experience, it can come from your personal experience. So a lot of my clients, for example, that have started teaching sort of course-like programs or businesses, they may teach something they've actually never been paid to do before. So for example, if you're someone that's a mom, right, that understands mothers in the first year of having a baby, and you know how to manage your time, you know how to not let a newborn overwhelm you. You know how to really be good in your relationships and know how to ask for support during your first year of having a baby. You know something that first-year moms would love to learn, would love to have support on, right? Again, you may not be paid for it, but it's definitely a valuable skill set or experience that some other person might be struggling with, and you're ahead of the game. So you can bring that knowledge, charge for it, and be giving to people who need your help the most. So have a think about what can you do that other people will pay to learn how to do when they don't have your skill sets, your experience, and your know-how, okay? And what's a great benefit of teaching? Well, you can use your existing skills, right? Existing knowledge to teach people the knowledge, tools, and resources you already possess. So if you're someone that have started projects before, let's say you're a maker and you're a jewelry maker, and you've decided at some point to put your work up on Etsy, for example, and you know how to design logos for your, or use tools to design logos easily without being a designer. You know how to write about your jewelry. You know how to promote your jewelry. You know how to make your jewelry. Which parts of that can you teach people that would be most easy and interesting for you to do? Because nowadays people pay to learn, right? And they don't pay to learn physically anymore. People pay to learn online. I mean, you're sitting up right now in a webinar learning from me all the way in Bali while you're sitting in your pajamas or wherever you are, right? Learning from me. And you can do it via tools like webinars, videos, blogs. You can teach people right now sitting from the comforts of your own home, as long as you have a few tools in your belt. I mean, right now I'm using my MacBook Air, an Apple headphone set, and my webcam. That's it. That's all I have with me, nothing special. And when you teach, this is a great business model because it can expand from just you being kind of like the talking head in front of class at all times. It can expand into products. It can expand into courses that can supplement your income, have more passive income, because all of those courses and formats and vehicles of teaching, all will still be you, still be the same thing you teach, maybe different parts of it being delivered in a different format, right? Depending on what you want to do. And so that really gives you a bit of longevity around your business because people are lifetime learners. You're always going to get people around the world that want to learn. And if you can expand your business as a learning business globally by being online, you can attract global clients, right? There'll be never enough people that want to learn something, right? And you can start with a blog. You can start with just a blog about teaching people through these topics and subjects that you're good at, and then go from information, gather that list, build that audience from giving away stuff for free in your blog to then teaching people what to do. So now they read a blog and they're like, you give them a couple tidbits and you've wet their whistle, right? You've warmed them up. And so when you sell a course or when you sell a live program, for example, to join you to learn deeper into that subject, people are much more inclined to buy. Right? So build that list from information from a blog and then start to think about how you can serve them further with the next step course that you can provide. Okay. My own business, Screw the Cubicle, was really born from exactly this, right? It started as a blog, really not wanting to monetize it. I had another business at the time. it really was started like to document my own journey of like my identity crisis and fears and all these things of letting go a $120,000 job. Like, did I fuck up and make a mistake? And I wanted to share that. I wanted to be vulnerable and transparent and help my own friends and family understand why I made this choice. And it kind of took me by surprise, really, when this blog kind of became a bit more global, which then actually gave me the hint that I should be charging for my advice, you know? You know, a lot of it, I started with just a blog, you know, then people started sharing my blog. Then I started to host meetups, local meetups in Vancouver, just small ones, you know, like 8 to 10 people that would like choose to come to my house, or I would do a quick talk at like a meetup that I knew about that was local. And then I did masterminds at home, you know, for free, you know, to just help people through this transition. And at the first journey of Screw the Cubicle, I coached 8 people for free first before I knew I wanted to coach at all and spend that money, you know, developing these products, because I want to make sure I was in love with it. I wanted to make sure that I was equipped to coach, right? And I wanted to coach. So I took on free clients, and that's a great way to experiment with that skill set. And really, I taught what I knew. Right? You only teach what you know. You don't have to teach the entire journey of somebody's, you know, all 8 to 10 steps or whatever is the big journey. You might just do step 1 and 2, you know, of the problem. Right? So my step 1 and 2 of the problem, you know, 4 years ago was just about like helping people save money, helping people like figure out what they're good at doing, and really knowing if they even want to quit or not, you know, and how to talk to their family, how to talk to their spouses about quitting. And that was it. I never spoke about businesses. I never spoke about online marketing, because that was not where I was. So you start where you are with the knowledge that you have, and you can start teaching today. Okay. So fast forward 4 years later, you know, now I teach online courses and live group programs and workshops and retreats, but I worked my way up to that in order to feel confident to deliver some of my knowledge in a self-guided format or a DIY format without me being there. Another great example of using teaching as a business model is this woman, Diane Hopkins. She's the founder of Word and Wing. She is the teaching coach for coaches. And so she started as a former academic. She's you know, Australian, and moved to London with her ex-husband at the time to teach in universities there. She was doing urban planning. You know, she's a professor in urban planning, so completely unrelated to everything she's doing today. But what she really found out was that her strongest skill is teaching. And some of you may be that. So if you find yourself constantly at work, teaching people new things, wanting to mentor, you know, wanting to hold workshops and seminars all the time and meetings in your work, this might give you a hint that you have a natural teaching ability. And you can use teaching as well, just as Diane did, as a weapon of choice. So how Diane used teaching to benefit her. She didn't want to teach about urban planning anymore. She didn't want to teach about, you know, all that boring stuff that she didn't really feel aligned with anymore. She chose to infuse new life to that teaching skill by choosing the right people to help with it. So one of the things that Diane remembered during her transition of quitting her job was that she had also a meltdown and a burnout, right? And so she sought you know, life coaches to help her move through and navigate that identity crisis herself. And she felt this love for the self-development industry and how important it is for people to be so self-aware, you know, to have that self-confidence to do anything big in the world. So she decided to go, well, why don't I go there? Why don't I help out an industry that's helped me? Right? And that felt really meaningful for her. So now she capitalized really on this missing gap of knowledge for professional coaches that know how to coach, but don't know how to teach, because it's 2 very different skill sets, and teaching them how to spread their knowledge even further, go from one-on-one coaching to talking, to going for their TEDx talk, you know, to go for their workshops and their virtual webinars, and teach them how to expand their talents to reach more people through things like teaching courses. Okay, so that's how Diane got to her idea. The escape route number 3 I want to talk about today is very related to teaching as well, but this is very much focused on coaching and mentorship. So if you don't want to start teaching, if you don't think that's the path you want to go to, and I usually recommend actually to mentor people first before you teach anyway, is to start as a coach, right? Start as a mentor to help people do big things. And a great benefit for coaching is that if you're already giving advice for free now, whether you've been paid for it or not, or in your professional experience or your personal experience, you got to stop giving it away for free, basically. Okay. I know you're a giving person. I know that you're probably like, it's no skin off my back to give this advice, but I want you to honor that skill set. I want you to know that that skill set's actually really valuable. right? Get paid for the advice you're already giving for free. And this is going to feel meaningful for you because, as I just said, you're going to give it away anyway. And you love talking to people about this or whatever that topic is for you. If you could get paid for it, then that career could really feel meaningful and fulfilling because you're helping people, right? You're causing transformation. Plus, if you can feed yourself and you can, make a living out of it, even better, right? That's the sweet spot you want to meet. You can help people achieve things that you've already solved, right? Again, it's about teaching what you know, coaching on what you know, helping people with what you know. And the solving piece, again, doesn't have to be a professional piece. It can be a personal problem you solve for yourself. So if you got over an eating disorder, you got over self-esteem issues, you got over being a perfectionist, or you know how to organize your life. I mean, you've solved something for yourself. So how can you help other people who doesn't know what you know to do that and pay you to do it? So you want to look at coaching people when you talk about expertise. Don't get, I've talked about this before, don't get frazzled by the word expertise. You can look at it as your expertise is based on you being one step ahead of someone else, right? I always look at the analogy of a fourth grader teaching a third grader something. You don't have to know the full journey in order to start today, right? People appreciate someone that's actually just one step ahead of them versus 10 steps ahead of them because they can't relate to them, right? So you are in a perfect position to be helping someone literally just right behind you, right? A year or 2 or 3 right behind you because it's still fresh for you. You know how they feel, you know their pain points, you know what they're suffering with. You haven't gone 10 years down the road and can't relate anymore, right? So you are in the perfect step to coach someone literally just right behind you, okay? A great example of using coaching as a business model is this other lady that's featured in the book as well, Adrienne Dorison, from adriennedorison.com. Adrienne used to work in corporate, having a background as a Lean Six Sigma consultant and a project manager. So her talents that she was paid for in startups in the States was helping basically them manage projects, go after the low-hanging fruit strategies, and teach them how to work less and make more money. Okay, that was kind of her background. Now, on a personal level, Adrienne did something very, very special for herself by paying off $40,000 worth of debt in 1 year, right? Awesome skill set, awesome talent. Lots of people want to find out how she did it. So she started here first about money, right? How to have people look at money differently, how she shared her strategies through interviews, being interviewed in podcasts and blogs and things like that, having her own blog, breaking down the process of how she paid off $40,000 while still in a full-time job and still be able to launch a side hustle on the side, right, with a full-time job. She talked about time management. She talked about morning routines. She talked about saving and budgeting and having much more financial responsibility to allow you the freedom that you want to have. So she started there around money and money mindset. From there, her blog started to pivot even before she quit to now instead of talking about saving money, I want to talk about making money. Right? So still looking at her background, she still utilized that to now go in a different direction with money, which is how to make more money doing less. Okay? So that's now what she does at adriennedorison.com. So you used her focus and strategic skills to train high achieving professionals. Why high achieving? That's who she is. Not to look very far for your ideal client. Your ideal client is most likely you, right? Other people just like you. That now you've discovered something and you know how to teach that person because you are that person, okay? All right, moving on to escape route number 4, setting up an e-commerce side hustle. These are for people who love to sell things, sell products they make. If you like creating things that you've seen missing from the market, you're crafty, you're a maker, this may be a route for you. Right? You may have bought something like maybe while you're traveling, say you love to travel, you've gone to some exotic places, Peru, Bali, wherever you go, and you're like, holy crap, I love these textiles, or I love these handbags, or I love these crafts. And you have said to yourself, I wish I could bring this back home to where I live. People would eat this stuff up, or I wish that I could design something like this, but a bit different. Could I collaborate with this local artisan, to bring back something that's interesting to the world that I know, the first world, right? So if you said like, I wish it had X and it could be this better, or maybe you bought something from the mall or from Amazon and you're like, what, it's missing this compartment that would have been so useful for somebody. Then maybe you may have something that you can create that can actually solve a missing gap in the market. A reason why e-commerce is great is, as I said, you can sell your own creations. So if you're someone that finds meaning in your work by selling your own creations and you're crafty, this might be a route for you. You may have an eye for products or crafts. See that missing gap. You can curate. So you're someone that loves interesting things and want to have your own store without having to have a physical store and having to pay ridiculous rents around malls and physical stores. You can now sell stuff online using Amazon platforms and Etsy platforms to market your products easily without even having to have inventory sometimes. You can order on the fly, you can order a batch at a time and sell slowly if you like. And if you're a traveler and you love to travel as part of your work, this is a great opportunity for it, because you can use travel as a way to hunt and seek out products that aren't available, where you came from. The first story I want to tell you about, Mona, who's also featured in the book, she launched an Amazon business about 2 years ago. She has never been an entrepreneur, never even knew anything about e-commerce and Amazon. She was a human rights lawyer, okay? This is like her career. But she had to stop being a human rights lawyer, about 10 years ago, when she actually, in the beginning of her career, fell very ill. Mona had Lyme disease, and it actually bedridden her to be in bed for years. And she had to reprioritize her health after the illness caused her to kind of take a pause from her career. But in that time frame, Mona realized that actually part of her job was causing her distress in her health. And not that Lyme disease may have anything to do with her breakdown and the cause of that illness, but she absolutely felt unhealthy, being a lawyer, being paid not a lot of money to really give her soul and life to that. So even though she cared about her work, she just felt, I can't continue and be a lawyer for 25 years when I'm not feeling good, about how I feel about myself and my health. So health became kind of her first priority. It forced her to become a first priority. So she moved to Bali, actually, to heal herself and relax and come out of San Francisco from the hustle and bustle to be somewhere calm. And health became her theme, wellness became her theme. And then she took kind of an e-commerce Amazon course at Ubud, which is a co-working space we have here in Bali, and started to learn the skill set. So she didn't let her excuses of like, well, I don't know how to do it, so I shouldn't do it, get in the way. She really started to learn from experts that could teach her about Amazon, teach her about e-commerce, and then she can say, what should I sell? Right? So she was someone that needed to sell something that she cared about, something that she would use, something that she would like now that is causing her pain. And part of it was sleeping. Sleeping was a big deal for her. She felt that there wasn't these sleep masks that she could buy from Bali that could help her kind of really block out the light and give her sleepless nights, to be healthy. So she actually went around and researched about sleep masks, just very niched, and started to produce a wellness line of sleep masks, and now she sells them through this company called Nidra Goods. And she launched a wellness line that links to her passion for health. So this is not, sleep masks are not the end for Mona. She's going to focus on health. So you can make sure that if that's something you care about, is not to, again, look for just the next trend of what to sell, but look for something, a product, a theme, or industry that you actually care about so that you can have more creative ideas. You can be a user, of your own products. Another great story is this millennial, Ben Katzman. I met him about 3 years ago when he was first starting out. He was like this spunky 22-year-old that came to Bali to visit family. And he just had a great spirit and attitude around learning. He used to be not a lot of work experience. He used to be a former retail associate for like clothing companies in Santa Monica, in the States. And that's all he knew, and so he was a bit of a shopper. And when he came to Bali, he loved exploring new neighborhoods to find artisan products for himself, really, to buy back for his family. But when he went on to this travel trip, he really noticed an opportunity to bring local artisans, to the U.S. market. He's like, wow, I love the way that they craft bone. I love the way that they craft all these different textiles in Bali that you can't buy in the States, right? And, it brought him a little bit of a clue as to like, hey, I have some retail experience. I kind of know how to sell stuff to people. Out of all these things that I've seen in my travels, what would be the easiest thing for me to ship? What would be the easiest thing for me to put together right now that has a story behind it, that I can bring to life. So he met a local person making bracelets. It was a whole village that carved, buffalo bone. Buffaloes that have died. They used the bone to carve like old jewelry that they started to sell in the markets, and he thought they were creative. So he decided to give them some ideas of what sorts of things to carve out of the bone, putting the maps onto the bone for people that love to travel. They want to remember their coordinates, where they got married, where they proposed. And this became like such a simple idea. He started with a small batches of 100 bracelets at a festival, sold them, and decided, all right, now I sold 100, I'm going to sell 500. So he did it in small batches, built his confidence around what people want to buy, what types of bracelets to sell, super light, super easy. And now 2 years later, actually Ben just posted it this morning on my Facebook, he tagged me in it, he's celebrating his 2-year anniversary of running a multi-million-dollar company after 2 years. And this guy's like 25 right now, right? And it came from a small idea, again, from his travels, from going after an idea courageously without it, at the time being $1 million idea, but making it go there by telling better stories, by making these custom jewelry that were going to tug at your heartstrings, around that personalization of coordinates, shapes, symbols that he can attach to your bracelet, and it became a phenomenon to me. You could sell $30 bracelets and make a multi-million-dollar company, which is an awesome way to turn your passion for curating products to something people want to buy, in the first world. And the last and fifth escape route today I'm going to talk about is about retreats, creating memorable experiences. So I've seen a lot of people that love to organize events. They're great maestros of events, using a retreat model, using events and workshops to be a model, for part of their escape route. So retreats are great for people who are, like I mentioned, great event maestros, project managers, and people that have organization skills, right? What do retreats do for people? Why do people buy retreats? Well, it's a combination of learning, exploration, and a holiday for buyers, right? People have like 2-week holidays every single year. Not sure if you guys can hear the rain in my background, but it's just starting to pour. So hopefully it doesn't affect the call. So retreats are like a great money-making, model for people, because people go on holidays all the time around the world and they want to learn something while they're on holiday. They only have a 2-week holiday a year. So to be able to combine it with learning something new while having a pleasurable leisure time, I mean, this is very lucrative for people, to invest in. And for you as a retreat founder or holder or facilitator, you can utilize your travel experience, right? If you've ever traveled to amazing places that you're like, more people have to come here, it's such a hidden gem, it's so cheap to come here right now, you can use your knowledge and culture experiences of that place and language experience that you've already possessed to be able to create kind of unique experiences for people, right? And when you run a retreat, you don't have to teach everything on your own. You can bring in experts, right, to partner with you to create an even more unique and memorable experience, right? So, for example, if you're someone that wants to help, women launch businesses that are meaningful for them, I mean, yes, you could do just a traditional, business retreat for women, but perhaps you want to invite women that are like burnt out and needing, to get back to self again. So that might give you a clue to be partnering with people that are in the spiritual communities, in meditation communities, to help bring that different sort of flavor into the retreat. And then you can teach the business part, right? You can teach the launch parts that you care about, but you can sweeten up the deal by having experts come in and do what they do best, and it's able to actually be bringing your your retreat participants into a much more deeper experience with you than just any old business retreat. One of a great example here is Mackenzie Hall, who actually worked at Google and tech startups in Silicon Valley. With Mackenzie, being a 20-something year old, in her first couple years, it already led her to a burnout, and that gave her a breakdown and led her to a sabbatical to India. And really, part of it was for herself to learn meditation and mindfulness, and basically for herself to kind of find out, do I want to continue in this industry? Do I want to continue working for even big companies like Google? And so her time in India for a year, relaxing and basically going into self-exploration mode, inspired her to create retreats that were targeted to the her old colleagues that were burning out, right? Tech entrepreneurs, employees that are in tech companies that are also seeking this balance. How do I get out of the mind and into the heart? How do I make decisions that are strategic and rewarding to me in my career, but also be able to check in with how I feel about the decisions I'm making, right? So she really just took her own experience, right? The whole burnout phase of her life, what she found out instead, all the tools and modalities she learned in India, bring that back, to the everyday man, and launched a retreat, Realign Retreats, and she had about 2 retreats in Bali. She launches them now in South America and in San Francisco again. She's back there now. And that's led her to speak at big events like Mind Valley. She's spoken at companies about how tech entrepreneurs can lead a much more a balanced lifestyle and still be able to do the work they love without burning out, right? And it was a great lucrative business idea for her because, again, she was solving a problem that she suffered with, right? Bringing it back again to other people who are now, one step behind her, right? Just as we said before. Another example is one of my favorites as well, Michelle Tan, who is currently on this webinar, I think. She's in Kuala Lumpur right now. So from what I remember her saying, she's still here. So if Michelle's in the webinar, say hello on the chat box so people can speak to you. Yay, you're still here. You haven't gone back to bed. I know Michelle loves to sleep in because she's a person, but she's joining us today. So Michelle is the founder of the Hula Hoop Institute. Michelle, she's Australian, her family's from Malaysia, and she basically worked in one of Australia's biggest engineering firm, being a project manager and a risk manager, right? Something that's very practical, very systematic, very, she's about systems, right? About finance and systems. But really when Michelle went through a transition in her life, she went through a relationship transition. She went through a career kind of like thinking, is this all there is for me? She took a sabbatical, right? Sabbaticals seem to be like a common theme right now with all our stories. And she picked up, hula hooping. Really as like a hobby to start, really for herself, to start to disengage from her mind of, thinking and only doing life from that route all the time and learning to play again. Right? So it's for her to de-stress and reconnect with a physical activity that allowed her to play and kind of be a child again during her sabbatical, which was like about a year, or 6 months. And I forgot how long it was for Michelle, but she was like calling herself the Lady of Leisure for the longest time. Whenever people said to her, what do you do? And she would never even mention her past. She's like, now I'm a Lady of Leisure, And so she just played, for like a year and learned these skills of hula hooping. And then she kind of took hula hooping to the next level, right? I remember when Michelle launched her first kind of like teaching workshop for free. I was one of them, learning how to hula hoop. And she's like, basically testing her skills to be like, do I like teaching this or do I want to perform? Right? Which parts of this do I like? And it was both, but experimenting again with teaching, on a live testing ground, she really figured out that actually it's not just about hula hooping. Like people are perfectionists. They don't want to hoop unless they know they're going to be good. That was me, when I dropped the hoop, Michelle's like, stop thinking, stop being perfect. You are allowed to drop the hoop. You're allowed to make up your own sequences. You're allowed to dance the way you want to dance. Like no one's looking at you, right? And that really helped me disconnect and use hula hoop as a break for me at that day, to just get out of my mind back into feeling physical, feeling the hoop, closing my eyes, not thinking about strategy or steps of how to keep this hoop up, but really just like be mindful about moving, again. And that really led Michelle, Michelle can probably talk about it more on the chat box about what led her to this idea. But it really helped her understand that there's a lot of like professionals out there that do not play, right? They do not find time to play, find time to experiment with passions and interests that have nothing to do with work in order to actually let them be clear in the mind to think about careers and work and doing, making money in the world. So she used her old project management skills, right, being in that engineering firm, to run luxury hoop retreats with her now new skill of hula hooping. And this is targeted towards professionals, busy corporates, and creative people wanting to meet other people in play, wanting to travel to beautiful places and take out a week out of their year to learn a new skill set to bring confidence and pleasure, really into their days, right? And what an amazing combination of a practical old corporate skill set of project management, using that, because without project management, Michelle wouldn't be able to throw these amazing events, because one of the missing gaps she found in the hula hooping market is like, actually not a lot of these events are organized that well. They're not luxury, they're not really detailed, and she's a detailed person. She's not just about play, she's also very, very much systemized and practical. So combining those two of her, play and practical, she really developed these hoop retreats that have never been seen before. Nobody else have attended a retreat like this before, and people rave about how organized it is and how high end it is, compared to any other hoop retreat. So this is a great model for Michelle. I mean, she's launching like a third or fourth retreat this year, and she's like almost hit six figures. I mean, Michelle, your boyfriend told me this yesterday, so I know that number. But congratulations, for making that. I mean, hula hooping, six figures to hula hoop. I mean, that is amazing. Right? What a great testament of following your inspiration, following your nose down your rabbit hole of passion in order to make that and create that into a business that you can really enjoy. So my biggest message for you today is, don't be afraid to do work or start a business that others have already started. A lot of these businesses you've heard of, someone else have done already, right? Michelle's not the first hula hooper. Ben is not the first bracelet making guy. Claire's not the first PR agency. None of these ideas are unique. They've been done before. But you can do something that can be a combination of your practical experience and what you already know how to do to create something that is really your own, right? By infusing your personality and life experience and style into the mix. So you can create your own niche by simply using your life experience right now. No one has seen what you've seen. No one's absorbed anything in the world like you have. No one's perspectives are like you. So your distinct views of the world does count. The way you explain how to solve problems in your business will count, because you will never say it the same as everybody else. And it doesn't matter if you're leading people to the same outcomes. Your difference in your business, your niche, is in your approach. It's actually not in your idea. I know that's what's the common mistake. It's in your approach, it's in your personality and your style and your know-how to solve problems in your unique way. Yes, the destination can be similar to other businesses, but the journey to get there, how you craft that route for them to get there, that can absolutely make your business absolutely your own, okay? So I hope that really inspires you about those different businesses, different ideas to see. Maybe you're a combination of a few of them. It's not a one-trick pony, right? So think about your skill sets right now. Think about your life experience, whether you've been paid or not paid to do it. Can it lead you to a right for right now idea? Right? The right for right now idea is going to cause more action rather than waiting for the perfect idea that's going to sell, 10 years down the road, right? Right now, you're equipped to do something, and that's going to open up doors for you for your next idea and the next idea and the next idea, just like you've seen from the examples of these stories. Okay, awesome. So what are your cues? What are your questions? Please type them into the chat box so I can answer them for you. One of them I'll answer now, which is by Laurence, who's already on the call today. One of Laurence's, actually, he's got a few different questions, actually. So Laurence, your question was that how can you make your message relevant when you have no experience of taking advantage of digital technology and creating your vision? Okay, great question, right? Laurence, I know that you have a family. I know that you have had lots of high-level positions as a VP in finance. I know a bit about you because we've talked before. And you have a lot of experience. You have a lot of expertise. And that is your message, actually. It's not about looking for a new message. You already do something right now that is very valuable for people. And you can start with being around the theme and umbrella of finance, but it could be also around, management of their assets, right? Management of having a better financial accountability to their businesses and their money in order to create success for themselves. Like, how do you help people, and how have you been paid in the past to help people that has a common theme that goes across the board? Your message can be very simple. It could be very much about how to not make, not have money being that, evil monster that haunts everybody, whenever they want to start something new. It can be an ally. How can you help people look at money differently as a weapon of choice for freedom? That can be your message, right? And you will get clear about that message once you, again, go down that rabbit hole of exploring that, right? And in terms of your experience of digital technology, I mean, I didn't know anything about the online world. Just like, as I mentioned with Mona, who was one of the case studies, she had no idea about Amazon, no idea about e-commerce. That didn't mean she wasn't supposed to do it. That just means you need help. You need to take a course. You need to get a coach. You need to get mentorship to expedite your skill sets and knowledge around knowing how to do this. We live in a day and age where all businesses are really a part of digital technology, right? Websites, people find people online. So it's a new skill set that is absolutely bringing the future of work into play, right? So if that's the thing that's tripping you up, is that, oh, I don't know anything about technology, so I can't be online. Well, what's the simplest way to learn? Go find someone doing an online business and learn from them, right? Especially in an industry you want to play in. And you can take a course. There's so many free courses out there. There's so many YouTube videos out there. But really, the technology that you're going to be using isn't going to be complicated. You're not going to need to learn to code websites or do anything. I mean, to be on this webinar, I had to click 2 buttons to be here. Technology is already there. You just have to sign up, buy it, $10 a month or $100 full, a fee you pay for something, and then you press play, and it's plug and play technology most of the time. So don't let that trip you up. Don't let that become your excuse for not showing up, for your career and your business. And you create your vision when you start something, right? So if you believe you are not yet brave enough to coach or consult or teach people right now, even though I know you have every credibility to do so, you can start with just simply a blog. Learn to teach people from writing, right? Without charging anything, right? Laurence, does that kind of make sense? It's like start something small, start something to keep, to ease your way into bravery. I think that's going to be easy for you. You just mentioned it's a good present for your book. Yeah. Or for your wife, which is the book, and a good present for you too, to really witness people in their 50s, right? Which I know, that's the kind of age group you're in. How do they do it? How do they make technology their bitch? And really not make that into an excuse in order to do that. And yes, yeah, it is. You're right. You're looking for an excuse. And yes, I'm glad to hear that it's been inspirational for you in the past hour, because all of those are excuses. All of those are just your fears, making stuff up to not kind of keep you stuck where you are. Because even though you don't want to be where you are, it's kind of safe. It's kind of easy, So I want to challenge you to do one small thing. Don't launch a full-blown business. Don't go there, if you don't need to. Start a small blog. Start a 1-page blog. It doesn't matter. Do something to honor your skills, to honor your talents. Don't start a blog. Maybe go and find a client to coach for free. Put it out there, right? That's going to help you, again, start to master your skill sets. And because I know there's no way you could be a VP of finance for the last decade or more without being awesome. Without having skill sets. So believe in yourself and have, put yourself out there enough times in order to allow other people to also give you great feedback and build your confidence for you. Okay. The other question, Laurence, I think you had was, how do you find the right people to collaborate with on an exploratory basis without having to think about fees? I think we spoke a bit about that right now, about testing. Right? Just like Michelle did, just like a lot of other consultants and coaches have done, take on free clients, take on anyone that have problems with finance, anyone that has a will to learn about mastering money, about systemizing their life to allow more money to come in and be more in control of their financial future. I mean, that's everyone I know that needs that help. So I am sure that in a sense of your inner circle, there's going to be people that want to learn about that. And with your experience, and they're getting that as a complimentary service, people will jump at that. So put yourself out there and make that move to see the difference that you can make, okay, in your career. All right, excellent. Anybody else that has a question around, yeah, you're welcome, Laurence. Hope that helps. That has around your skill sets, around leaving jobs you don't want to be there again, starting a business, anything that you want to talk about, because I'm mindful of time. We've been here for a little over an hour, but I'm also available. So if you had to jump off or you're still thinking of a question, I'm just going to scroll up the chat box here just to see. I love your comments around the hula hoop bubble wrap idea. That's great. All right, so comparison. Yeah, okay, so Michelle's mentioned like you do compare yourself to others on the internet. And I think that is a normal thing to do. It's what we do when we're searching for inspiration at times. But I think there has to be a point that we stop looking at other people's businesses and start to look about how other people's business have inspired us to create something that's unique. You, as I said, can create your own niche, not by creating a new idea, by creating a new approach to solve the problem, creating your personality, actually not creating, infusing your personality to allow people to like you. Like I'm no different from any other business coach out there in sometimes the teachings I have, but the difference could be like my stories. It could be about, where I am, it could be about how I teach it. That's the difference that's going to make for people to want to work with you versus somebody else. So if you find yourself every single week opening articles all the time, researching competitors all the time, like looking at people's being like a business pornography person, I want you to just stop that, right? File everything, bookmark all those sites that you might come to later, but stop looking at everything else and save your time. Use that time every week that you spend on the research and reviewing other people's stuff and start to work on your own stuff, okay? And if you want to know what to work on, honestly, just ask, right? Ask me, ask people that can help you. I run a free community on Facebook called The Unconventionalists. I'll put that into the chat box right now. So if you guys are not part of that community, join that because you can ask questions there. I can help give you your mission of the week, if you would like, every single week to help you keep moving so that you're chunking down the steps necessary to bring more confidence into your life. Yeah, Laurence just mentioned you're also in comparison mode, comparing yourself with ex-colleagues. Yeah, totally true. Especially when you're in the older age group as well. There's this sense of like, I'm running out of time, right? Other people have achieved more than I have. But what I say to that is like, I know this sounds a bit morbid, but it's reality. It's like at the end of your days, you're not going to give a shit what people think. It's going to be you, yourself, and you, sitting in that room, wherever you are, thinking about your life. And you have no one to answer to at that moment in time. So you don't care about what people think right now because in your end of days, you're going to have yourself to answer to. That's the moment you get to tell yourself, did I take those opportunities? Did I take that little bit of courage I had at the moment in time to grow my courage? And that's the thing you're going to be proud of to do. You're not going to sit in the bed, thinking about, oh, I wonder if I pleased that guy that didn't give me a time of the day in my old job. Did I pleasure that other man or woman by doing something they wanted me to do? You wouldn't say things like that. You would always talk about what you wanted to achieve, what you went after, what you've decided to create in your life. That's going to make you proud of your life at the end of the day. So you need to do that now in order to prepare yourself for that experience at the end of days, right? Again, a morbid topic, but very relevant to bring some mindset shifts around perspectives around what's really real. All these fears, all these comparison games aren't really real. They're made up in your head in order for your ego and your fear, like I said, to keep you where you are, because that's a safe route to be. It's the job of our minds and our ego to do that, to keep us safe. But our hearts want to dream. Our hearts want to be creative. Our hearts want to make things, and be remembered in the world. And that's the one that we want to listen to more and then use our brains to be strategic about it, right? To be practical about it, to make a plan about it. That's absolutely totally cool. Right? But the heart's the one that dreams, and that's the combination that I think you must have in order to do fulfilling work, to do meaningful work, and to do work that you can be proud of. Okay?